I Am the Specialist of the Strange, written by Dakota Frandsen, narrated by Douglas MacArthur, published by Bonkers Network LLC. Section 2. Before I Was Dakota, dates undetermined. Estimated Earth time, 1920-1995. Location, planet Talihara. As a teenager transitioning into adulthood, I was inducted into the Talihara military forces. My rank was low, primarily involving patrol duties and occasional espionage to monitor potential rebel factions. The Tal Shiar, believed to be humanoid extraterrestrials, allegedly assisted the Third Reich during World War II. During a briefing, it was revealed that Maria Orsic received materials through telepathic communications under false pretenses, leading to the creation of alleged Nazi UFOs, sophisticated weaponry, and secret alliances forged just before 1930. By the 1940s, we retreated to what I believe was Antarctica before leaving Earth and returning to our home world. My time with the Nazis triggered a sense of doubt about the mission and the pursuit of power. I was tasked with monitoring humans and potentially infiltrating Adolf Hitler's security detail. I killed men, women, and children, justifying these actions as consequences of war. I viewed humans as weak, inferior, and easily manipulated. Despite my doubts, I believed I was serving a proper cause. One night, back on Talihara, I witnessed a draconian, likely a Sayakar royal, cornering 3 children with the intent to kill. I opened fire with a plasma-based rifle, likely injuring but not stopping the creature. I shouted for the children to run, directing them to a nearby escape pod, a sleek metal craft capable of carrying 10 people plus supplies. As we boarded the escape pod, the draconian pursued us, attempting to bite the children. I fought back with the rifle, making little progress. The children's screams prompted the realization that I had to kill the draconian to ensure our escape. The creature slammed its fists into the craft, shaking everything and everyone. I shouted for an override to bypass security protocols preventing takeoff due to an obstruction. Grabbing the creature's horns, I twisted its neck, aiming for what I believed to be a weak spot. The craft took off with the creature stuck in the door. As its neck cracked, the draconian's eyes shifted from a rampaging reptile to a human expression, seemingly thanking me for ending its life. I sent a distress call to the Federation, fearing retaliation and doubting acceptance due to my affiliation with the Tal Shiar, a renegade Pleiadian group. A woman responded, directing me to an outpost to intercept the children and get them to safety. She offered me refuge, which I hesitantly accepted, asking for time to return to Talihara to rescue my family. The woman understood, warning me that news was spreading about my rogue actions. I returned home to find a mix of panic and confrontation. Some family members believed me, while others followed the official narrative. My mother, leading the opposition, accused me of endangering the family by saving the children. My sister was visibly torn, and my father eventually quieted everyone. Acknowledging my difficult choice, he urged me to leave for the safety of all. The look in his eyes broke my heart, but it seemed he and I had the closest relationship of everyone else, a bond that would be tended to in another life, if I'm understanding how it all unfolded. Before I could properly escape, I was intercepted and knocked unconscious. When I awoke, I found myself bound to a table and my torso sliced open from the base of my neck to just above my crotch. A draconian scientist digging its scaled hands into my guts, it realized I was awake. Its language was similar to that of large iguanas and the recreations of a tyrannosaurus call. The pitch and melody tingle at my spine just thinking about it. Once the being realized I was awake, it took great pleasure in torturing me, squeezing my lungs with its claws so I would be unable to scream in pain. My condition was far too compromised for any internal systems to properly function, but I could tell my captor was singing as it dug into my flesh. I was only let go when the sound of a distant explosion rang through the facility. The sound reverberations told me the building was metal, possibly in a tropical environment somewhere. I watched as my torturer looked in the direction of the explosion, angered at being disrupted, and turning away. It simply left me there, sliced open like an animal in a butcher shop, barely holding on for dear life. I could hear a voice, possibly some kind of radio transmission, whispering for me to hold on as help was on the way. I could hear the commotion, my vision blurring as I held on for as long as I could. But the second I saw a man with a light blue uniform found me, I knew I was saved. I couldn't help but let go in the moment. I was just happy to see someone human. Returning to the Federation outpost, I was given time to process the ordeal. My tasks alternated between field medic/scientist and espionage, thanks to my Tal Shiar training. I also participated in the Starseed program, part of the Federation's envoy efforts. Dates undetermined. Location? Galactic Federation of Worlds outposts. During my tenure with the Federation, I married a Tashkeru woman named Evina, who hailed from Nyan, a planet near Sirius B. She left her home to join the Galactic Federation of Worlds, GFW, due to the growing influence of the Nebu. We quickly bonded over our shared backgrounds and discovered that our families had likely known each other through work-related activities. Evina was taller than most women from her world, standing nearly 6 feet tall. She had long blonde hair, prominent cheekbones, and a pointed chin. Her blonde hair and hypnotic blue eyes made her almost resemble a tall Asian woman. Certain aspects made her resemble a Japanese manga character. We both enlisted in the Envoy program, sometimes sharing deployments and other times alternating duties. I frequently checked in on Ivina during her Envoy deployment on Earth to ensure she was okay and well treated. I remember reaching out to her during moments of distress, honoring our promise to always watch over each other. A significant incident motivated my vigilance. While on a scientific expedition, the facility where Ivina and I worked was ambushed by amphibious beings, possibly Shiakar hybrid experiments. I was in another part of the facility when the attack occurred. Though I managed to reach safety, Ivina was injured, her abdomen sliced open. Miraculously, the creature did not harm our unborn child. We were trying to start a family and came perilously close to losing our oldest daughter. Upon returning to the mothership, I learned of Ivina's injury. A colleague informed me that they had saved both her and the baby, but I needed to get to her immediately. Upon hearing the news, I rushed to her side, nearly breaking through doors and smashing access panels in my haste. Ivina was the reason I enlisted. I had fallen in love with her, perhaps having known her in previous lifetimes. We were so close to starting a family, and the thought of losing it all was unbearable. When I found her, she was emerging from a medical pod that had restored her physical condition. I hurried over, embraced her tightly, and apologized for not being there. Though she returned the hug, her grip was weak. Something was still wrong. Ivina asked about the baby, and I assured her that our daughter had been saved and transferred to an incubation unit for proper development. While the medical technology had healed her physical wounds without leaving scars, the mental toll was beyond any machine's capability. Ivina felt abandoned during her and the baby's time of need. A close friend had ensured her safety and supported us, but the only true relief for her was an upcoming envoy deployment. She needed time away from the war and from us to think. Despite the heartbreak, I had to let her go, leaving me to raise our daughter with the GFW's schooling systems until Ivina returned and I went on my own deployment. The complexities of time travel make establishing this timeline challenging. Estimated Earth time, somewhere late 1980s to early 1990s. Locations, Galactic Federation, possibly. The Excelsior, the last rescue. I recall one final rescue mission before my latest envoy deployment. Our team quickly assembled on a small craft that cloaked itself as we descended from a mothership in Earth's orbit. We flew swiftly towards an area south of the Great Lakes, likely Indiana. Our ship hovered above a white colonial-style house. I and another male operative disembarked, cloaked and undetectable by radar systems. The house was 2 stories tall, and the setting suggested the mission took place in the late 80s to early 90s. 2 tall grays emerged, carrying a small child, a girl no older than 3 with brown hair and a bright red pajama dress, possibly a Christmas gift. One gray ran its finger over the girl's body, even under her clothes. I was ready to intervene, but my colleague's hand on my shoulder reminded me to stay calm. Our camouflage technology responded to our intentions, and losing control could have compromised the mission. Though we were well trained, our individual issues sometimes affected our emotional states. It was crucial to check each other during operations to ensure success. Nothing angered us more than seeing an innocent child harmed. We couldn't attack the Greys on the street without attracting too much attention and violating jurisdiction. Our mission was to trace their ship, gain access to their records, and rescue more children. The Greys revealed their ship, allowing us to tag its signature and track it as it left Earth. Outside the planet's atmosphere, we ambushed their vessel, nearly killing the Greys in the process. We rescued the girl and recalibrated her implant to our channels. She was part of the Envoy program targeted by the Greys for experimentation, aimed at corrupting starseeds from within, a Trojan horse strategy. We took the child on a joyride to calm her before wiping her memory and returning her home. Reflecting on the mission aboard the Excelsior, I was approached by Censored, a tall, blond man with Nordic features, whom I regarded as both a brother-in-arms and a leader. A Hell Pleiadian, one of many groups the Tal Shiar almost carried a prejudice towards. Off-duty, he was laid back and caring, with a talent for singing. He frequently visited with a young Earth girl, an envoy preparing for a grand revelation. She was like his sister, Censored, and his motivation. Censored asked for my thoughts. I expressed concern for the young girl we had rescued. Censored reassured me, chuckling, that I would see her again. He placed 3 fingers in a triangle against my forehead, preparing to suppress my memories of galactic involvement for the Envoy transition. I understood the process, but insisted on remembering the child and others we had saved, as it was my reason for joining the Federation. Censored grinned and said, "Just remember the moose," before winking. Estimated Earth time, somewhere before 1996. Location, Galactic Federation, Envoy Program Stasis Bay. There were conversations, more accurately briefings, detailing an upcoming Envoy deployment. My wife was present, both as emotional support and to assist with any last-minute details. We had a transition period to help her readjust to intergalactic life and for me to tie up any loose ends. During most of the session, I felt only half listening, preoccupied with thoughts of my wife and our discussions about starting a family. Another individual, resembling a military recruiter, was also there. He had darker skin, almost black hair, and wore a dark gray uniform. He looked human, with a skinny and somewhat elongated face. His role was to address any concerns I had about the Envoy assignment. Key points discussed included: the body I was to inhabit had a strong predisposition to what humans called psychic abilities, attributed to a predominant bloodline. These abilities would initially be activated by trauma and then occur at random times. One of my mission objectives was to understand how people could fall so easily under abusive and tyrannical rule. Another objective was to serve as a warrior on Earth, though not enlisted with any military or government body in an official capacity. Given our desire to start a family, the timing of operations on Earth seemed favorable. Many humanoid civilizations encouraged interplanetary relationships, a common practice intended to promote diplomatic cooperation and help future generations thrive in their environment. The timing referred to Earth entering its first stages of becoming an interplanetary society, transitioning from space travel being reserved for elites and those caught in trafficking operations. The first steps of the Great Introduction, when the most human-looking extraterrestrials would be permitted to show themselves publicly, was allegedly set for 2025. My new body would be monitored closely by the GFW and likely by Greys associated with the Sikaar. Other family members on my Earth body's paternal side had reported possible abductions by Greys, likely for hybridization. People on my maternal side had shared details of UFO sightings, possibly connected to nearby military bases. Once the necessary contracts were signed, there was a brief period for me to say my goodbyes. My wife and the recruiter were present when I was taken to a metallic white stasis pod. The pod had displays on the side, likely to monitor my vitals, and a glass opening. As my body was connected to the machine and a breathing apparatus attached to my face, I remember slowly drifting into unconsciousness as a cool blue liquid filled the pod. I saw my wife's tears and felt the hurt in her heart. I started to cry too, but my tears quickly merged with the gel surrounding me. The last thing I remember is saying, "I love you," as I rested my hand against the glass. My wife pressed her hand against the glass, aligning it with mine as I blacked out.